space in the standard newspaper hassle-free. So say hello to your brand's visibility courtesy of Standard Ad Center, which is self-service friendly, easier, faster, and smarter. Book your ad in the standard newspaper from the comfort of your home, office, or wherever you are. Because it really is as easy as visiting ads.standardmedia.co.ke/ads to follow the prompts and make it count for your business. A product of Standard Group PLC. KTN News. Get the whole story.
All right, just to prime you that Ariel, the Prime Minister of Haiti, has resigned. That is the top story right now. And of course, it brings to question a lot of issues that the country has been bedeviling with the deployment of the 1,000 officers, that is police officers, to Haiti. We have the Cabinet Secretary of Interior who is not rowing back, that he says we go full steam ahead, despite the fact that we have escalating violence in Haiti as it stands. We continue pace with the conversation, not of course focusing on this. We had discussed this earlier with our panelists, but looking at the crisis that is beforehand as well. And this is the IEBC question and the boundaries review. That is what we're tackling with our guest this morning. And also, we shall be looking at the recent appointment, the 2/3 gender rule question as well. Tina Mola has touched on it a bit. That also is primarily focused in the National Dialogue report as it stands right now. Right, let's talk about bicameral bill that also is on the floor of the House, and now is going to, he was to continue, then we will pick up from there.
Yeah,
right.
So just two quick things as I finalize. I wanted to mention, one, that one of the priority areas that is identified by NADCO is the need to settle the question of appointment of the new commissioners, and I think that that needs to be fast-tracked quite quickly. And I think as a joint committee, we will be giving that priority because we need the new commissioners as early as yesterday and in the terms proposed in the NADCO report. But away from that, there's the bicameral relations bill, which is a bill that for now is in the National Assembly. It's yet to come to the floor of the National Assembly. It was proposed, it was discussed, we discussed in the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee last week. We settled on the areas that we think can be, improved, and then it comes to the floor, and then once it's done, it will come to the Senate, so that the Senate can also discuss it. It endeavors to define how the National Assembly and the Senate should handle their affairs in a way that can avoid this constant bickering, which sometimes results in going to court, that one house now is suing the other house, which is not very becoming because we are one parliament. Two houses, but one parliament. So that bill endeavors to do that. So that's actually on the side different, of course, from the NADCO report, but it's also...
It's a standalone bill, yeah. Okay. You want to comment on...
No, I wanted to comment
IEBC?
on the IEBC. I think we need, as a country, to fast-track the establishment of IEBC so that IEBC becomes functional. Today, we have work that IEBC should be doing. For example, the delimitation of boundaries as one of its key functions that it must have undertaken, but we don't have IEBC, so that the issues of boundaries can be resolved. I know it will be a hot potato, actually very it will be very politicized, but somebody needs to bite the bullet on what a senior councillor Congo Morgan is saying, that we need to be a country that makes decisions devoid of the politics as per the constitution. There are some constituencies that are, of course, they were created at that particular time, probably from a political point of view. But we also, as a country, need to look at representation. There are constituencies that are have very few people, but they carry the same vote, the same weight in parliament, and probably the same resources, and other constituencies that are very, very big. I always cry for Kilifi. Kilifi is one of the very populous counties, but we only have 7 constituencies. And I feel there are many Kilifi people that are not properly represented, and resources are actually not coming to the ground proportionately because of that we only have 7 constituencies. And yet, other counties that may not even have the same population as Kilifi might have more constituencies. So you have a skewed representation there, which disfavors some counties and people and the population on the ground. And I was telling my colleagues that I have 7 constituencies. I have 7 wards. My population is almost hitting 400. But they have only 1 member of parliament. They have only 1 CDF kitty. They have only 1 the roads Rerek and Kera. It's the same. So I am disadvantaged, both in terms of geographical and terms of population. My constituency is large, and I would have loved my people to have, a delimitation of the boundaries, even as we maintain the 290. But I think there needs to be a redistribution so that we actually come to a situation where Kenyans feel properly represented. But as it is right now, there are certain constituencies that are overrepresented, and there are other constituencies that are underrepresented, underserved. I think the United States likes using the word underserved. They are underserved. I have the same bursary kitty to give to a population that is larger, and someone else has the same bursary kitty, and he has very few people. Actually, I was telling the former MP for Lamu East, who was my friend then, that you can decide that nobody pays fees in your constituency. That from your bursary kitty, you can actually give every family, every child enough money so that nobody pays fees in that. While you come to my constituency, I can barely afford to pay even for half of the students in the constituency. That imbalance needs to be checked by Article 89, and we must trigger Article 89. On the issue of what the NADCO report is suggesting, that we move from 12 to 15, I think I want to echo what Senior Councillor said. We are most likely to move to a situation where if we make it 15, then after 3 terms, you want to go to an election, that review might come actually when the election is being done, and that might have issues. 12 was a good number because it is not within the 5 years term. It is actually almost at the center, which is a good thing. But to change it to 15, I think that requires a lot of more debate so that we are able to understand. But again, on IEBC, today the people of where the MP passed on.
Basil. Basil.
Yes, that Basil. Constituency. Basil. They have been waiting for an MP, and therefore this is almost 2 years after he passed. They've been waiting for an MP, but because there's no IEBC, they cannot hold an election, by election to put in. There are several court cases that I think even the Supreme Court or the courts are slowing down on making decisions on election petitions, because actually there's no IEBC. They might declare almost 5 seats vacant, and then there's no IEBC. So there are actually probably some members of parliament that are in parliament and probably in parliament illegally because they were not properly elected, and that has been challenged. So the rights of certain individuals, the political rights of certain individuals who have filed cases in courts to seek for the nullification of an election is being held because there's no IEBC. So opening up IEBC and putting commissioners in IEBC will actually allow other people to claim their rights, and other Kenyans that do not have MPs and do not have MCAs. I think there are several MCAs who died and require, I think there's an MCAs in Nyamira.
We have 2 wards actually.
In Nyamira, they have no representation.
Require by-election.
You have another one in Tana River.
Siongo ward, and there are 2.
Yes, and several others where MCAs have died, and they don't have representation. because IBC has not been constituted. So I think the NADCO report is a good thing to have. I know there has been this painting of, if you look at the cartoon in, that is, I don't know which paper that is, where everybody wants to, they try to picture, give us a picture that there is a war between Kenya Kwanza and Azimio on the NADCO report. I don't think there is. I think there's an agreement between the speakers of the House today. I think 4 bills are coming into the Senate, and I think the National Assembly has 5 bills, and I think the communication from the speakers last week showed that there is no division in terms of the NADCO report. We just need to give members of parliament an opportunity to debate, have new ideas coming, and these bills that are necessary be enacted so that this country moves forward. The NADCO report is a big document, but within it is very substantial issues that this country must tackle. And if we tackle those issues, I think we have a semblance of agreement on a lot of fronts in terms of Kenya Kwanza and Azimio. And when we get to a situation like that, I think the country moves on well. But the NADCO report does not in any way say that we have a NADCO government, or because that is the position that is taken.
There will be no NADCO government.
There will be no NADCO government.
Since there is the AUC.
Yes. There is whether AU chairship is coming or not. And NADCO is just about looking at the good things for Kenya moving forward. But I want to state it on your show, that there will be no NADCO.
There will be no NADCO government.
There will be the government of Kenya Kwanza.
But no. If still on the IBC issue, if I come to Congo Mogeni, we have, if you are talking about a NADCO government, there is also the auditing of 2022 elections. Yes, and we have no IEBC. We've seen from Kenya Kwanza, there is no one who has been proffered. There are no names that have been given. Amos Wako is leading the team from Azimio, together with Pareno as well, and a forensic expert, I forget his name. Is it Ngunjiri? I can't remember the name. You can tell us, so what really happens if you have this election audit and there is no constituted IBC, so to speak?
I think there is broad consensus that, first of all, who wants to join UDA? I mean, with the kind of ills that UDA has committed against poor Kenyans, the so-called hustlers. Personally, I would not want to be associated with your government. That's why we want to remain a government in waiting. I will never want to associate myself with the many ills that you have committed.
Kenya Kwanza is a leper.
Let me tell you, it is a disgrace. You know, even on affordable housing, can you imagine that we were not even given an opportunity to debate the affordable housing bill in the Senate? Something unprecedented. We were told spend 4 minutes to make a debate on such a critical legislation like affordable housing. And I told the Speaker, now you have reduced Parliament to a session where we stand up and call your name, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. And you say, I'm a senator of Nyamira, and you sit down. Because what do you say, Debal, in 4 minutes on such a critical matter? Even Moi, give credit to him. He gave Shikuku time to say what he needed to say on behalf of the people.
This is exactly what he's saying happening in the floor of the House.
I want to debunk if there is an occasion I felt sad that I'm serving in a house called Senate, it was last week on Thursday. Imagine, I walked in carrying the High Court decision, carrying the housing bill with the tax marked, to engage in a debate so that I can persuade the people to reason and pass a law that is first, number one, that meets the constitutional imperatives, okay? Taking into account the functions of national government and the functions of county government. And also come through the proposed bill, affordable housing bill, to ensure that we fix the issues that were picked by the High Court, and by extension, the Court of Appeal. But what did people do? They say, no, we don't want a debate. We have been called. This is what they say. They say,
I'll put the question.
But you know what they said? They said we have been told we must do this today. We are under pressure. So we were all given 4 minutes, and I'm telling you, if you read the answer, all we did was to relate the Book of Lamentations on the floor of the House. And I'm telling you, this idea of stifling debate, denying me as a senator, representing our whole
county. will not help you on that at this time.
From getting an opportunity.
No.
Just to inform you.
Let me have Tabitha, because she was on the floor of the House to verify
is a tragedy. And let me tell you, and God is my witness, the IEBC bill, Senator Sigei, who was the chairman of JLAC, brought proposals on the floor, some which we have now revisited, including one of the proposed amendment was to delete the involvement of Public Service Commission. And you know, when the report came, we said, no, this guy deserves being the chair of JLAC. The moment he tabled, I don't know who made some calls to State House. That, you know, there is a report here that,
he's in danger.
You know, he tabled in the morning. When we arrived in the afternoon, they started whispering, you know, we have been told to remove all these amendments. That's why the rain started beating us. So we pushed through IBC amendments on the floor without giving the minority a side to contribute. The report, the details that were in the committee report, including deleting Public Service Commission from one of the bodies that were to pick the panelists to interview the new commissioners, they never saw the light of the day. And that is what has brought us problems. Now, what is the shame for all of us as parliamentarians? We have gone back to that same proposal that was on the floor that UDA was directed not to pass through. That's what now is in NADICO report. And now that they have been given instructions, now they are in support. They are all in support. So I want to urge my colleagues, this culture we are, inculcating in Parliament, where you don't want even as elected leaders to engage in debate, to be the voices of our people from where we come from our constituencies, from our counties, is a culture that we need to kill.
Thank you.
Because, let me ask the final question. If you don't want me to raise these issues on the floor, where do you want me to raise them? Because that's the only forum I've been given by the people who elected me. I can tell you I was in Nyamira, Nyansiongo, in a Catholic church, and the people told me, when you go back, that affordable housing, please, Amuse said, please go and request the president, we who are farmers, who are 60 years, we need to be exempted from making any contribution to the affordable housing. I went to Nyamira town. A teacher told me, please, when you go back, make a proposal on the floor that we teachers who are already running mortgage schemes and we are being deducted money from our payslip, we should be exempted. And you know, I came back excited, saying, I think if I put these issues across, maybe my colleagues will see reason, okay? Governors told us, please, housing, development of houses is a function of counties. Propose that board that has been created should be removed. Even if the government wants to implement this housing thing, that should be a function of counties. But there is no forum that was accorded to us to air these issues across the floor. It's a tragedy.
Welcome to your
Yeah. Dibal, you see, when senior counsel says that he's denied an opportunity to be able to air his views, I don't agree, because actually he has a much more a priority, the fact that he's a ranking member, because in Senate and I think in the National Assembly, the Speaker normally gives more priority to the ranking members. It's just a natural and a norm and a culture that we found existing. And so...
what do you mean, for the benefit of viewers, a ranking member?
What she means is when the debate begins, I'm given priority to have a first go.
Yes,
but the thing is,
let me
you're
finish.
given a first go, but you have 4 minutes instead of 20. They
What I
reduce
mean
it to
by
4
that,
minutes.
What I meant by that is, with that ranking level, members like me, who is a first-timer, might not be given much priority compared to him, despite the time he comes into the House, and he's not one of the members actually who's there by 2:30, because even if he comes at 4, the Speaker will be able to give him a priority because he's a ranking member. He's also a commissioner, so there's that ranking level. And he has an opportunity to be able to air, and that's why he had one. So you don't need to deliver with 20 minutes, discussing the same thing and repeating the same thing. You just need to go directly and air your views. Did you get a chance to air your views? You got a chance to air your views. And that is what is important, and it's accorded, to everybody. I hear him keep on saying that UDA, 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 and let me tell him, Senate is not for UDA. It has 67 senators, okay? And we are all equal. We are given an equal opportunity to air our views. The State House does not carry our conscience or our mind. It is our responsibility to make our own sober decisions. We've had members also on our side on some decisions, and they say, this one, I don't abide to it. I don't agree to it. So it should not portray, especially senators who are on the majority side, as if they are under 18 in such a way that you have to direct them in what to do. That is a disrespect to the leaders on the majority side. In Senate, everybody is entitled to their own opinion. So the indication of trying to tell Kenyans that, decisions have already been made even before a bill by the time a bill is coming from the first reading, the second reading, that reading, decisions have been made. No, not really. We've had, like the other day when we were debating, not really debating, but we looked at the impeachment of the deputy governor. Does it go to the committee or plenary? And it was a whole house that had agreed. And on situations whereby we agree on some of these issues, they don't even, bring out, like we all agreed that let us go and do plenary, because we've not had a plenary session for a deputy governor. We've had for a governor, but we've never had it for a deputy. And we wanted to understand what are these marital issues that are happening between the governors and their deputies. But that's a deeper discussion we look forward for tomorrow and Thursday, when we'll be looking deeper into that issue. And I've had also the minority say that already a decision has been made. It is wrong. It is wrong because it is demeaning the members on the majority side, both in the National Assembly and in the Senate, by indicating that decisions are always made, even like it's just a flowery sessions that we normally have, either during legislation or during these impeachment processes. That is not the case. We embark, and we are going to be keen to listen to some of these issues. The issue of the selection committee for IEBC, it's critical. And I think my colleague is arguing from the point of the PSC commissioners, because he sits there. And of course, from where you sit, you'll be on the first line trying to defend that your team needs to be part. What is important is we already have, the board that is mandated to be able to do this vetting. Do we need another special select committee? Why do we need? Do we have other interests in place, or what is the issue? Are we coming from a point of whereby we had a Chirera 4? And did it raise eyebrows whereby, members are put there, they follow the process, the whole election process, the reporting is done. And until the final end, when you realize that you're not achieving your goal, your candidate is not taking the shape of the winning that maybe you expected, and then you abort the ship again. The same thing I gave the example of Eugene Omal. You abort the ship and again claim and say, no, this process is not okay. But you were part of the process initially when you came to the screens and you were with the chair and you were reporting until the final, when it's not suiting you, then you abort. It's the same case we're seeing whereby at times with the opposition, when it's not suiting, then we want to always try and negate. This is a government of dialogue. This is how bipartisan, I call it season 2 because we had season 1 which did not mature, and season 2 matured very well. It should be an indication that it's it's a government of discussion. It's a government of sitting on table. You bring, you put on table what you feel is good. We put on table, and then we come to an understanding. And that's the beauty we are enjoying with the NADCO report, whereby the former Prime Minister, the President, they've been able to agree. And members who sat from both sides and at a leadership level, they were able to agree. Dibala, I have to talk about that gender role.
Yeah, we'll talk about
that. Because it's still part of the NADCO.
Yeah, we'll come to it. I don't want us to lose track so that we jumble up a lot of it. We're still riding on the IEBC question raised, and also the audit of the 2022 elections, now that you don't have an IEBC.
I want to say this, Dibala. I want to debunk a certain myth where, you know, my friend senior counsel, a person who has a lot of experience in the world in terms of foreign affairs matters, comes here to say in Senate they write the Book of Lamentations. They are contributing to the growth of the Book of Lamentations in the Bible. You know, Senator
They are
Mugeni,
the poster child,
I want to tell
the
you,
cover model.
in the 10th Parliament, 9th Parliament, there were just around 10 people. Even when Moi was powerful and everybody else followed what Moi wanted, there are only 10 members of Parliament who changed laws, who convinced everybody that this must go. When James Orengo was in Parliament, when I think Mashengo Machofi was there, and several other members of only 10, Moses Wetangula and other, who, despite Parliament being controlled from State House then, before the 2010 Constitution, which gave Parliament power, you know, everything else was being dictated from State House. But those 10 members of Parliament held forte for Kenyans. And they stood there and they never lamented, but they debated vigorously. They brought in changes, you know, they articulated issues, and they had their way within Parliament. In the 12th Parliament, Okongo Mogeni, when Uhuru Kenyatta having had issues with William Ruto, we put in a team of less than 10 people. 10. Myself, Kimani Achungwa, Aden Duale, Sankok. You know, we were just a couple of people. But we held that Parliament against the numbers of Otiende Amolo, when Azimio, when now Jubilee came together with ODM and the other parties, you know, they had the leader of majority and the leader of minority were working together, you know, and all the others. But we were just a few people, you know, in Parliament. But laws didn't pass easy. And even when they tried to gag, Otiende Amolo remembers, when we shut down the universities bill, we shut down the university, we were just 4 people there. And even when they said put the question was never put. We sat there throughout the time, we strategized, we went into small meetings and said, this bill, we will not accept this, we will not accept this, we will cause changes here. And even at times we would convince the House such that even when a vote is put, we would take, I think we won around 3-4 votes in that House. Even when those laws, you remember when the political parties bill came into Parliament, towards the end of the 12th Parliament, towards the end, and actually I remember it was almost Christmas time, and we were being told to come back to Parliament to pass those laws. And we came. William Ruto just had a handful of members, you know, and we agreed. We said we need to show this country that Uhuru Kenyatta will not run roughshod on Kenyans. We held forte on the political parties bill. You remember they even locked Parliament. Otiende Amolo was there. They locked Parliament that day so that the vote must go the way they wanted it to go. But we held forth. We even lost a few clauses, but we won some. Some of them we kept on voting and going back to vote. I remember I think you remember that scene. We were just a handful of members, but we were dedicated and committed. We never lamented. We pushed our agenda. Oden Duale had just been removed as member, as the leader of majority. And he came and said, yeah, because they don't want us to do this, let us ensure that these laws they want to pass will not pass. Senate is a very easy place, by the way, for members of the minority to operate, because the threshold is very small. What is the difference? 1 member or 2 members? No. And if
If I think don't lie to Kenyans.
No. Let me.
The difference was.
Let him finish.
It's good to
Let
clarify.
him finish.
You know the difference of 3 senators
Yes.
was before you bought all the senators.
There's nobody.
When we had Jubilee,
No.
When we had Jubilee in Azimio,
Can you finish?
How can you say members are
Parliament
bought?
is
Are
a
we
house
tomatoes?
of debate. Parliament is a house of debate. How you
Yes.
convince members,
Yeah.
how you strategize,
Correct.
and how you put your troops out there. It is about strategy. You know, Congo Magadi goes to Parliament and thinks you just go there, sit down, respectfully being called to debate and being called senior counsel and being pampered with big titles
Commissioner.
like ranking member. That is
Commissioner.
not how it is, Commissioner. That is not how it is. Parliament is not like that. Parliament is a place where you fight for your space using your language. I like Oteda Amolo when he stands. When he stands, he prepares. He comes to that chamber, challenges the speaker. You know, I have seen him raise a lot of point of orders to challenge the speaker, and the speaker has to go back and write a long ruling because Oteda Amolo said only one thing, but he will bring 5 pages to defend his position. That is how debate is in that Parliament. I remember that Duale said one day he locked out members, you know, and locked them in the toilet so that he can have his way in Parliament. That is Parliament. In the United States, there's something called filibustering. Filibustering is part of debate. We did filibustering in that chamber, in the National Assembly, in the 12th Parliament, such that debate would go up to midnight because we are filibustering. And
But
then
filibustering is not denying time.
Yes, Kimunya would realize what we are doing. He would realize, hey, these guys are filibustering. So he will go there, sit with Junet and Mbadi when he was Nanini majority, was minority leader, and attend them all, and they would strategize. But we would also go to our corner and strategize. And they would want to kill our filibustering, but we would also kill their attempt to put the vote. So what I'm trying to say is, if members of the minority cannot manage and strategize, and they come to lamentations as their key to getting sympathy from the country, they have let this country down. They are not doing what they are supposed to do.
Right.
We are very good strategists when it comes to debate. We just don't debate. We strategize as members and we get our way. And that is how debate in the National Assembly and the Senate should be. So, Kongo again.
Right.
The book of Lamentation was closed when the Bible was printed. Don't add anything, it will be of no value.
Don't revise the Bible. Let's hear from Senior Counsel.
First of all, is it true that debate is stifled in Parliament?
It is
both
not
in the National Assembly
weak
and in
debaters.
the... Hold on. You know, I was very quiet, so I don't know why you were
I'm
getting
going to be
jittery.
quiet.
This is filibustering.
Yes,
Filibustering
no, that's exactly what they do in Parliament, what he's trying to do. So you can see how they kill debate. Because they have this anathema for hearing a contrary opinion.
Anathema is a big word.
That's what they need. Now, debate is stifled in Parliament, both in the Senate and the National Assembly, but more so in the National Assembly than in the Senate. At least Senator Morgan is able to say he got 4 minutes. We didn't get even a second. In the National Assembly. And you remember, you know, I came prepared, you know, and I came in time, you know, because usually when I want to contribute, I get there early enough. Yes. The problem with our system is that the only person who knows you want to talk is the speaker and yourself. Yes. No one else knows. Yes. So the system is talking about when, you know, Akina Shikuku were there was different because you will rise and everyone can see that you want to talk. Here, you put your card and you must be quiet. So those who don't know think you don't want to talk. They don't even know the priority. So it feels very frustrating when, you know, you've gone there prepared to give your contributions, then you know, you are denied, and when they come on national TV, they say you are not contributing. Yes. Because it's extremely frustrating. In Haiti, the Haiti debate, exactly, that's what they did even to me. In the affordable housing, and in fact in affordable housing you are there, I was so annoyed I took my notes and told them, because it's the only thing I could do. And then I walked out, because he knows. The difference between this 13th Parliament and the 12th Parliament that you so much talk about is because at that time you were with the parliamentary leadership. The Speaker had moved with you to Ruto. Yes, the speaker had left Uhuru Kenyatta and moved with you to Ruto. So he was able to facilitate you people to frustrate the House. It is not so when the speaker is with you. That's the difference. Thirdly, just hold on. We will just come slowly. Part of the problem is not just the speaker. Yes. It is also parliamentary leadership. You are the deputy majority leader. If you were being true to parliamentary practice, you would at least allow people to debate. Yes. You would actually be the one saying, Mr. Speaker, on this one, it's a very important subject. Let us allow it even one day. Yes. But what do? They come and they have been given instructions that they should pass whatever motion or bill it is, not debate. So they allow the majority leader to speak, maybe just the minority leader, and then once it is seconded, and there are two of our colleagues they've put on standby permanently, I can even give you their names, whose job is always to catch the speaker's eye, and somehow they always catch the speaker's eye, understanding over 95, that it is the mood of the House we close the debate. It does not matter what you do. It does not matter what you say. You know, this mood of the House that somebody is always walking in their pockets, it's always in their pockets. And the speaker will permanently allow that mood. And that's the end of that debate. They just say, put the question. So we are reduced to say these very important points in debates such as here and in funerals, because where you are supposed to say it, you know, and some of these things, if you were allowed the opportunity to say, even the decision will be contrary. Look, is it also true that phone calls are usually made to change decisions of Bunge? Yes. And you know that, in fact, today, one of the bills is listed this afternoon. Yes. In that bill, the National Government Administration Amendment Bill, yes, we met as a joint committee, yes, Justice and Legal Affairs and National Administration. We agreed on a number of things, including the fact that we cannot have the head of public service as an office created, and we have the Public Service Commission, and we also have the secretary to the cabinet, and it's going to cause some confusion. That bill was to come last week, isn't it? Yes. And the report is there and it's signed. Yes. Today, you are going to see a different report also signed, now recommending that. You tell me, where did that come from, if it's not a phone call? Let's be honest to Kenyans. Yeah. You are controlled, even you as the chair, you as the deputy majority leader, oftentimes you are called and told, now that one, it has to go this way, it has to go this way. So don't pretend to Kenyans that we go there, that you debate, that you make decisions that are the best interest of Kenyans. No, you start by getting instructions, which is why it's unfortunate. I have always said here that the problem with your guys is you think there's government in parliament. We don't have, we shouldn't. We should have the majority side and the minority side. But for you, you've taken that the majority side means government. The minority side means opposition. So we can't operate as a house that is supposed to jointly check government or the executive. We are in a situation where the majority, who should help us check the executive, are singing louder than the executive on virtually everything. And so parliament cannot be a check. Right. You know, lastly, is on the question of audit. Yes, you've seen that we've already proposed names to join the audit team. How will they work without the Kenya Kwanza proposing their guys? Of course they won't, because it has to be a joint team. But you know historically, one, that they have always been very reluctant to do this audit. In fact, in the first NADCO team, they had flatly refused. I don't know how Okongwe Morgan and the others persuaded them at least to have it as a recommendation. Two, for some unknown reason, NADCO finished almost 4 months ago. It's only last week, the other week, that it was brought to Parliament. Even that delay, I've never understood. I would not be surprised if they pussyfoot, even in terms of appointing the opposite number for the audit things, because I think the truth is, our brothers and sisters on the other side are only interested in enabling IEBCs to start work. All these others, they are just those accompaniments which they were forced to include, but which they would rather not deal with. So, of course, it's not surprising, but one hopes that if, and I said this, NADCO report and its recommendations will only work if there's good faith. If there's no good faith, the NADCO report will not work.
Thank you. Right, but I wanted to ask you also, how does it operate? You have your team and then you don't have an IBC constituted.
It doesn't operate. It does
for the audit of the elections?
The audit of the election by itself does not need commissioners.
It does not need...
no, it does not, because there's nothing for the commissioners to sign off. The audit will involve especially the staff, the secretariat, who dealt with the election.
Thank you.
Much more than... in fact, the commissioners who come in will not add value because they were not there. They won't even know anything.
All right.
Yes.
I think it's Okongo's time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dibal,
I wanted to ask you...
First, we want to thank you. You know, this is the only forum where we can debate. And
without saying
I
the question.
But I wanted to ask you...
because
without putting the question. Article 95.
because at least here, you know, you allow us to say what we need to say, and then you allow the majority to say. This does not happen.
And I don't allow filibustering.
Yeah, you don't. This does not happen. And you know, you can imagine that's where we have reached. That now, as members of parliament, we come to debate issues on KTN. Because you give us a fair forum where you listen to both sides. Something that our speakers don't want to allow to thrive on the floor of parliament. You know, it's a very sad thing. And I think where we have reached as a country, we're at a situation where Section 2A took us. You know, the Constitution gave us leeway and said Parliament will pass standing orders to assist, okay, in carrying out its function of debating and passing legislation. But I think where we have reached, and I'll speak this candidly from the bottom of my heart, we are abusing our standing orders. You know, you are speaking about filibustering. You know, in the US, because you represent people, the longest record that is unbroken is a senator who filibustered for 18 hours.
Yes.
He was on the floor on a matter for 18 hours.
Yes.
And you know, the speaker acknowledges that since this person is a representative of the people, he must have adequate time to pass his message on behalf of his people across. In this country, we even said in the standing orders that in a motion, we should give elected leaders 20 minutes. Yes. But you know what they do? They will always come with a scheme. When the debate is midway, they mobilize numbers and catch you off guard, you know, and say, we are going to reduce debate to 3 minutes. So that they deny members of minority a chance to say what they need to say on the floor of the House. I think that's a very bad culture, a debate that we're having in both houses, and we must do something about it. Because as we have said, when there is a problem, we must look for a solution.
Indeed.
Debate. Now,
I want just to follow up briefly before you go, because you've raised the issue of the speaker alone having the cue that is when you press, I think when you press that particular button, he's the only person who can see.
Yeah, he's the one who has the screen.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. If we have perhaps a speaker who is leaning on one side and he will not give a fair time to the House. That's how then are we able to cure that?
What happens, when you bring... you lament. You know what happens?
No.
You actually...
If you want some decorum in the House, because you have standing orders...
Because, you know, what they do is this.
It is a problem.
When you bring an issue, and they also know, you know, they know when Tabitha Mutinda walks in, they know that one. Even if you press, we give her a chance. She will... there's always, she's the one in alto, so she'll join in the choir and praising the government of the day. They know. But they know who sings soprano and all this on the floor. But when you step in and there's a hot issue and they know, no, if I pick up again, that's what you need. You'll just them say, now let's bring that to a close.
But I'm saying to the fairness of the House, so that we know that you've pressed and you've been denied. Because there's no one. Is there an indicator there that it should be?
In fact, affordable housing
how then
bill,
do we cure it?
Affordable housing bill, 3 slots were given to my majority side. Successive. Make your contribution, so and so, from majority, the next one from the other side, the third one from the other side, before moving to the minority. instead of giving one majority, one minority. So I think where we have reached as a country, and now that my friend has talked about filibustering, we must revisit our standing orders. If we can't deal with them on the floor, we need to go to court, have the court declare those standing orders unconstitutional because they are interfering with our right of representation. You can deny us everything, but don't deny us a right of airing views on behalf of our people.
Thank you.
And finally, Dibal, this is now the irony.
We need to give
this is the irony.
Tabitha, because we are
when in all the time that William Ruto has been in politics, he has promoted independence of the side of members of parliament who support him to stand against the government of the day. He did that when Moi was the president, okay? He did that when Raila Odinga and Kibaki at the, what was he calling it? The government of national unity. He did it against President Uhuru, where he rallied members of parliament to go against, like what you have heard Mheshimiwa Owen saying, to oppose certain bills that were sponsored by government. But now, the irony of it is that now that he's president, he tells his members of, the members of parliament from his party to toe the line and not to question even a comma of a bill that is on the floor. Including, you can imagine, just look at the tragedy. The health laws, you tell Kenyans to pay 2.7% of their salary, okay? Now, the law that came to the floor does not give you the benefits. You know, when you take an insurance cover, a medical insurance cover, it will tell you you are inpatient, you have 10 million, okay? Outpatient, you have 300 million. Optical, you have 100. Dental, you have 100. We brought that issue on the floor and said, don't pass the health laws without us telling Kenyans what benefits are they going to get.
All right. Tabitha. Thank you, Tabitha.
Yes, it's my time.
The point I wanted to tell you,
remaining a few minutes,
is
we
that
need to give a headline thoughts.
when you push us to pass these laws in a hurry, without giving an opportunity for debate to happen, these bills even impact on the people you represent. You think you punish us, but you even punish the people you represent more than us.
Thank you. Tabitha.
We cannot have senior members. We cannot have senior members like Senior Counsel Mugeni lamenting. You know, it is very sad. And let me take you back.
You know what?
No, Mugeni, you have had your time. Senior Counsel.
The regulations have been published.
Because
now I see why the
benefits are not
speaker is
even
actually
there.
now
Exactly,
denying
that's
you
why the
time
speaker
also.
will even throw him out.
Yes, if this is a behavior.
Exactly.
If he's trying to butt in and you cannot even allow.
I sit in the committee of the House Business Committee that sets the business of the House, and we made arrangements to have a Senate a meeting, all of us, both sides. No, not even Kamukunji. We had a very nice at the new hotel here in opposite Hilton Garden Inn. And we were to discuss our own in-house matters, both minority and both majority, in terms of some of the concerns, some of the issues as a house. Dibal, we started very well in the normal process, a prayer, and out of protocol. The first member who made his remarks was none other than the minority leader, Senator Mazayo, who took podium and made his opening remarks. And in his opening remarks, he aired his own personal issues and urged his members from the minority to walk out of that session and to go out and lament on oppressor, you know. Dibal, that is how they operate. And they walked out. That was the moment that they would, the issues that Senior Counsel is raising, that was the opportunity that he had to be able to state categorically and say, we have minimal time on some of the important bills that we want to discuss. We have these issues, and all that. You know, that would have been aired at that particular time. But they ran to do presses and lament, and that is a trend. And as I said clearly, for him and most of them would, by 4 p.m., by 4:30, on their side, nobody's existing. We are left mostly on the majority side to be able to debate. So if I have pressed the button and I'm there, the speaker definitely, we know that Senator Mutinda has been there and she needs to speak because they will come and, walk at it. There's no that consistent. Number two, they have their leadership on their side. If their leader, who's the minority leader, tells his troops, let us go, let us walk out, I've said earlier, this is a government that believes in dialogue, in discussions, in this is the issue, this is the solution. But if they walk out and use the opportunity to go to the presses and keep on lamenting, then where are the solutions? Because that is not the way to go. They have a leadership, the minority, the deputy minority, the whips. They have their leaders. They should be able to sit with their leaders. The leaders sit with the other leaders on the other side and be able to iron issues out if there are issues. And in whatever time they are given, and as Senior Otiendo Amolo said, it is better as in Senate, you can even get as least as that 4 minutes to be able to air your concern. You don't need to read the whole book. Even in those 20 minutes with your booklets, it can never be enough.
It's always intimidating when it comes to all those books
that you can be able to air out. So they should stop lamenting and attacking the speaker by saying that it's not enough, it's this and this, because they are very good at always walking away.
Right, thank you.
I want to say this. You see,
a minute, within a minute, because we're ending up so that we get headline thoughts as well.
Yes. In this, both in 12th Parliament and 13th Parliament, I had the pleasure of serving with the Senior Counsel, Omolo. And one of the most important things that I think on the record of the National Assembly, the most points of orders that have been recorded, I think, are from him. Most point of orders are from him. And you use a point of order if you know that this debate might not favor you or it might go a certain way, then you may want to preempt that debate. You raise a point of order. And he has a lot of respect, by the way, both from Speaker Mturi and Speaker Wetangula. If there is a point of order that is coming from Senior Counsel, it will easily be picked. And he will raise fundamental issues. Actually, he will move from constitutional. And when you have a point of order, you actually have no limited time. You know, I am usually in the National Assembly, I set the time limits. You know, when we open Parliament, we move the procedural motions to set time limits. I do that, and I set time limits that this debate is about this. We'll have these minutes for members and for leadership, and we do that. But point of orders do not have time limit. Senior Counsel Otiendo Amolo has had the privilege single-handedly to be given enough time to speak on point of orders. And because he always raises constitutional issues and statutory issues, he is given that. And after that, there will be a ruling from the speaker. It is a tool. You know what we have within the minority. I just want to finish one thing. They have, the minority have one thing that is very important for them, which they do not want to use. They have the opportunity to always do a good point of order way. They have the opportunity of raising issues even before the matter comes to the National Assembly.
Thank you.
And anytime you raise a constitutional issue on a bill, the Speaker is obligated to actually pull down that bill and ask for a report on constitutionalism. And those are tools they don't use. They have a lot of tools to work in Parliament. But they only want to use debate. Debate is not the only tool in Parliament. And I want to tell Okongo Morgan, please use the tools available to you to help Kenyans when it comes to debate in the House, not just speeches.
Let's just do it in 30 seconds, if you don't mind.
I just want to persuade our friends in the House that you might think you are protecting the interest of the executive by closing in on debate, refusing to listen to alternative views, but you are lowering the standing of the entire House. And the result of that one is then you have quality debate is dead. Two, quorum becomes an issue because many MPs then don't see the need to come and sit, try to speak, and they can't speak. And standing orders cannot be a tool of debate. In fact, when you say that I've raised so many points of order, then it means there's a lot that is out of order. That alone should tell you that we are on the wrong direction.
Thank you. Okongo Morgan, a one-liner will do.
My one-liner is...
one-liner.
My one-liner is the standing orders, if you read Article 124, were designed to ensure that we have orderly debate in the House and not to limit debate. So we need reflection moments on both sides of the House going forward.
A one-liner as well.
The minority should focus on the discussion with their leaders on the issues that they have and to minimize the lamentations. Kenyans are tired. Kenyans want solutions and not, you're a leader, you're a member of Parliament, you're a senator, and all you do is always you're crying out here, and then what will mwananchi do? You're supposed to represent them. So there are better ways of having discussion with the leadership on table and moving forward.
All right, time for me to put the question.
No, I've put the question.
Yes,
now.
put the question.
No, I've put the question. Put the question. I've read the mood of the house, and it's telling me that it's time to close the show. Thank you very much. The mood of the house is to close the show, as my director is directing me now. Thank you very much for your valued company. You've been watching Siasa Fiesta here on Morning Prime. Let's do it next week. News Dad is up next.
The development of the Seed Production Technology for Africa, SPTA, has been a 7-year research project of collaboration between various research institutions and utilizes a naturally occurring maize gene called MS44 that eliminates the need for detasseling during both steps of the 3-way hybrid maize seed production.
In the process of detasseling, sometimes there are errors, human errors in the process, which leads to self-pollination. Self-pollination now leads to loss of hybrid vigor, so the quality of the seed, the purity of the seed is reduced. When the seed is not pure, when you go to a farm, you find that when you look at it, it's not uniform. It is fluctuating. That's as a result of contamination in the breeding process or in the production of the hybrid.
Seed companies globally prioritize traits that increase yields and improve tolerance to climate and weather risks through maize breeding and hybrid seed production. Studies have confirmed that farmers prefer hybrids over comparable open pollinated varieties.
In a case like this, we have a parent that does not produce the pollen grains, and then we have a parent number 2 which produces the pollen grains. Yes, so when you cross them, you get an F1 generation that has that does not produce the pollen grains. Why? It is because the gene for not producing the pollen grains is more expressed in the F1 generation.
Small seed companies find it hard to meet the cost of detasseling, and that impacts on availability. With the technology now, they will be able to afford and manage production costs, but also the competition will see prices of the hybrid seed go down.
Whenever there is a challenge, you have to look for a way of circumventing. Just like when there were challenges of diseases, MLND, you look for a way of circumventing. So because over time we have noticed this problem of impurity, our scientists, and in collaboration with scientists from other partners, thought about the way to circumvent this. So it's something to ensure continuous improvement.
The SPTA technology was a collaboration of the Kenya Agriculture and Livestock Research Organization, KALRO, and partners Corteva Agri-Science, the Agricultural Research Council of South Africa, Quali Basic Seed, and the International Maize and Wheat Improvement Center, CIMIT.
KTN News. Get the whole story.
Wale pia tuwakumbatie kama wenzetu.
Hatujaimasishwa kuhusu hao watu.
Jarida ni kipindi kinacholenga majadiliano kuhusu masuala ibuka.
Sasa mimi sikujua kuna mapolisi hapo Farms.
Bullet ilitokea huko.
Kipindi hiki ni jukwaa mufti la kugundua, kuchunguza na kujadili masuala muhimu katika jamii.
Kuna baadhi ya wanafunzi hata wamepata A chanya, lakini wanajipata wako kwa TVET.
Huenda labda mwanafunzi awe aliingia kwenye poto la akachagua kimakosa.
Jarida ni kipindi kinacholenga kukuza daraja la maarifa kwa kuleta wataalam, watafiti na viongozi ili kujadili mada mbalimbali zinazogusa nyoyo na mawazo ya halaiki.
Ulanguzi wa binadamu mara mingi watu hawajui ni nini.
Ungana nasi kila siku ya Jumatatu hadi Ijumaa saa 6 upate ufahamu.
Clement Masombo,
Tobias Chanji,
Hezron Kimari.
Are you ready to make your mark in the world? To showcase your business, event, or special announcement in a way that grabs attention? Well, you can now rest easy with the Standard Group self-service platform, allowing you to book ad space in the Standard newspaper hassle-free. So say hello to your brand's visibility courtesy of Standard Ad Center, which is self-service friendly, easier, faster, and smarter. Book your ad in the Standard newspaper from the comfort of your home, office, or wherever you are. Because it really is as easy as visiting ads.standardmedia.co.ke/ads to follow the prompts and make it count for your business. A product of Standard Group PLC.